Today, Blue Thunder gets ready to rumble as we drop in our 502 big block. So stay where you are. It's time for Horsepower TV.
Today on Horsepower TV, we'll drop our 502 big block into Project Blue Thunder, plus install a high-performance tranny, headers, and exhaust. We'll get some pinstriping tips from a pro as he puts the paint to our 32 Roadster. Plus, we'll take you to the track and follow some drag racing stars of tomorrow as they pursue their own passion for power and speed.
Felt kind of scary. Felt good.
So hang on for Horsepower TV.
Hey, welcome to the Horsepower Shop. No doubt our 32 that we built on last year's show earned its stripes, but today we're going to highlight our high boy with the latest pinstriping style.
That's right, but oh, don't worry. He may be good with a wrench in his hand, but we're not about to trust Chuck with a brush on this car.
Wait a minute. Now, my wife lets me paint the house anytime she wants to, and I brought my own brush.
Well, this takes a little more technique than that, so we're bringing in a pinstriping expert to show us how it's done. Hey, but right now, why don't we do what we do best and get that 502 dropped into Blue Thunder?
Good idea.
A couple of weeks ago, we started with the GM Performance Parts 502 horse 502, installed a crane cam, added a special Moroso oil pan, an Axle Super Ram fuel injection system, and an MSD ignition.
Before we drop in that big block, we've got a couple of 1 5/8 inch holes that we need to drill in the firewall here. Now that's for the fuel injection wiring harness. And before you start drilling, make sure there's nothing on the other side that might get damaged. Well, now we can feed the harness through the holes and make sure the grommets are fully seated to protect the wires.
Now, as you can probably tell, the rest of our wiring needs some help too. So we had M&H Electrical Fabricators make up this harness for us. This one's got a special disconnect for our MSD box that we'll install later.
I've installed this Edelbrock high-flow water pump and a serpentine drive system. Now, we're using it for several reasons. First of all, it's going to eliminate thrown belts. Plus, it'll reduce the accessory drive speed and drag. Of course, that's going to free up a few more horsepower. This good-looking setup came from Mark's Performance.
Now, that monster is going to make a lot of torque, so we want to make sure it stays put. We're using these mounts from Energy Suspension that use urethane to isolate vibration. And as you see in this cutaway here, they have an interlock design for increased safety. Now, on top of that, they're going to last a lot longer than rubber mounts.
Well, now is a great time to lay in the headers before we install the engine. We're using these street headers from Hedman. They use a 1 3/4 inch primary with a 3-inch collector. Now, we also sent them out to Jet Hot for their cool coating. I like to hold them in place with this bungee cord.
Okay, easy now.
All right, how are we looking over there?
Pretty good. On down.
Okay.
A little bit more.
Just rotate her a little bit.
Yep. There we go.
Oh,
That's
man,
it.
it just fell right on it.
Hey, man, you got this under control. I'm going to say hello to our guest. Hey, Rick, looks like you already got started. I want you to meet somebody. This is a friend of ours, Rick Harris, who's been pinstriping hot rods for 30 years now. What do you have planned for our 32 here?
Joe, we're going to put a triple line on here in 3 different colors. We're going to use purple to go with the interior down the middle. The other 2 stripes are going to be vermilion, orange, and apple green. We're going to have 3 stripes, 1/16 of an inch wide in 3 colors.
Looks like a cool color combination. Hey, share a secret of the trade here. What do you do next after you clean the surface?
Well, to find the middle of the reveal, what we need to do is run a tape guide on the car. This will enable us to run the first 2 stripes, one above and one below the tape. Once we get the first 2 on, I'm going to pull this tape off and we're going to run the last stripe right down the middle.
That's how it's done. Well, let you get started and we'll check on you later and finish up our work on Project Blue Thunder right after this. Later on Horsepower TV, how the Forces and Amatos of tomorrow have high-performance fun at a track near you.
It's fun and you get to go fast and you get to be the driver.
We'll join these junior drag racers and we'll put one of these diminutive dragsters together. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the shop. Well, we've got the engine installed and the header cinched down. I guess the next step is to go underneath and install the transmission, but what do you say we first take a look at what we've got?
Now what I've got here is a cool cutaway prepared by the folks at Wyoming Tech for us that shows the inside story of a tranny. Now this one's a 350 but serves the purpose. Here's the converter. It sends power to the tranny through a fluid coupling. And under here, this yellow part, well, that's the valve body. It controls shift points, firmness, and gear selection. Now it sends fluid under pressure to these clutch packs, and they drive the various gears.
The transmission we're using in Blue Thunder is a Turbo 400 street strip piece from B&M. Now, the torque converter's got a little more stall than stock for a better launch, and the valve body has been modified for firmer shifts. Now, back here, the governor and the vacuum modulator work hand in hand to determine where those shift points occur.
All right, Professor, we could go on all day about that, but it's not getting our tranny installed. Let's get that car up in the air.
Good idea. Hey, I know we cover this every time we install an automatic transmission, but it's a very important part. Now, just go ahead and lube the snout of the converter with a little bit of fluid before you slide it up into place. Then push it and rotate at the same time to make sure you're locked into that pump. There we go.
Man, with that 502 big block and this Turbo 400, our Chevelle's going to be a real tire scorcher.
You bet it will. What do you say we get it up in there?
I'm pumping.
All right, jack her up. We lined up over there?
Yeah.
Good.
We're attaching the torque converter to our flex plate using these special grade 8 bolts and locking nuts. Once we get them all up here, we'll torque them down to 35 foot-pounds.
All right, the cross member's next, and well, once we get it bolted in, we'll start on the trans cooler. Even though we've got this finned aluminum pan to help out, we're still going to rely on the main cooler up front to handle most of the heat from the transmission. Now, we're going to begin plumbing it using these hard lines that I've already bent to fit.
For our Chevelle, we wanted an exhaust that sounds good, you know, just enough rumble, and one that flows freely to take advantage of all that horsepower we built into the 502. So we picked this American Thunder system from Flowmaster. It's got 2.5-inch mandrel bit pipes all the way back, and well, we'll get started by putting this head pipe into place. Good, fits good up here, looks good.
Well, I'll just finish with this last hanger, and we'll be ready for those mufflers.
I guess you're ready for this now.
Yeah, great timing. Let's see how it's going to fit. Man, these 3-chamber Flowmasters are just what we're looking for. They flow like a race muffler, and they're really going to let that 502 talk to us.
Well, now that we've got everything in place, we're welding all the pieces together. And back here, around the collector, we'll weld a bung for our O2 sensor.
All right, that ought to do it. You know, a lot of horsepower generates a lot of heat, so we decided to use this aluminum radiator. Not only is it going to save us a few pounds, but it's also 30% more efficient at transferring the heat than a copper brass cooler. Now, this one happens to be from Griffin. But before we bolt it in, we're going to go ahead and install a couple of these Spall electric fans. They're lightweight, they move a lot of air, and I got to tell you, they're really going to clean up that front end of the engine compartment so we can check out all that pretty jewelry on the engine.
Hey, pretty fantastic work there, partner.
Well, hey, you did a pretty decent job yourself there, Sparky. What do you say we drop this in?
Why don't we get the car off the lift first?
Good
Might
idea.
help.
Good idea.
Hey, those fans and radiator look pretty cool there. And speaking of that, how about this cover I got from OPG, huh?
Man, that's cool too. And I'll tell you what, you're just in time to crawl under the dash and install this fuel injection computer.
Yeah, I could, but oh, I need to check on the pinstripe job.
Oh man, how does he always find something else to do whenever there's real work to be done?
Meanwhile, back at the Roadster, how's it going with the masterpiece here, Rick?
We got the first 2 colors on there, Joe. Looks like we're ready for that purple stripe right down the middle.
All right, man, go for it. Rick, I gotta ask, how in the world can you paint a straight line like that?
Well, Joe, we've got the first 2 stripes on there as a guide for the 3rd stripe, plus we've got the reveal as a finger guide.
And of course, years of practice helps too. Rick, I know this never happens, but what if you messed up?
Well, Joe, you get to wash it off and start over.
Uh-oh. Well, we'll check the finished results later, but hey, Chuck, how you doing over there?
Well, no thanks to you, I've got the computer mounted up here behind the glove box where it'll stay nice and dry. Right now, I think I need to go see my chiropractor, but don't you go away. We'll be right back. Oh.
Next, a fast and fun way to keep kids on the straight and narrow. Then we'll shed some light on how racers of all ages can get better reaction times. Don't go away. Hey, welcome back. Well, guess what? Chuck and I are about to assemble our own dragster on the show. Oh, I know what you may be thinking. Neither of us has been able to fit in something like this in a long time.
You can say that again. Now, in a way, those diminutive dragsters are the whole future of drag racing, and it's a trend that you may have noticed in your own neighborhood. Now, recently, Joe and I caught up with some junior dragsters in our neighborhood.
Yeah, we discovered that what these kids lack in size and experience, they make up with a passion for power and a quest for quickness. There was a time in America when the mere idea of kids racing in cars conjured up thoughts of delinquents on a one-way road to reform school. Well, today, junior dragsters have taken youthful racing off the back roads and into a new level of character-building competition. Sure, it keeps them on the right track, so to speak, but the kids love it because it's just a blast to go fast.
It's fun and you get to go fast and you get to be the driver.
Now, the boys and girls who race these junior dragsters range in age from 8 to 17, and, well, while they come from all kinds of backgrounds, one thing's in common: the family that runs together has fun together through several generations. Mike Jones races regularly at Music City Raceway in Nashville in his dragster. That is, after he serves as crew chief for daughter Kelly in hers.
After my sister got into it, I kind of got really excited and wanted to do it.
What did it feel like the first time you went down that track?
I was really excited and I was kind of nervous because I didn't know what was going to happen.
What happened? Did you have fun?
Mm-hmm.
We get pretty excited about it. It's a lot of fun for us too. I enjoy it probably more than she does, just watching her race.
Hey, don't let these diminutive dragsters fool you. Now, they deliver full-size performance. In fact, what they all start with is a 5-horse Briggs & Stratton engine, but from there, you get some serious horsepower hardware. Everything from billet heads to trick clutches.
Once you make your basic horsepower, most of the additional ET will come from the clutch. They're different weights, springs, ramps. It effectively is a combination clutch and transmission all in one unit. You actually change gears with it.
Junior drag racing has been around since 1992 and it's certified by the NHRA. It's growing in popularity among both young racers and their parents.
My dad raced up here in the 50s and the 60s, ran super stock cars, so I came up here a lot as a child. There just wasn't anything this neat for us when I was 9 or 10 years old.
Let it go. Hit it. The rules for these youthful 8th-mile bracket racers are the same as for their older counterparts, and the techniques of winning apparently are too.
You can't be nervous or anything. You don't have to be nervous. That's how you win and stuff. Just don't be nervous.
Have a good reaction time and run dead on.
Okay, who makes the best drag racers, girls or boys?
Girls.
Why?
Because they're much better and they don't say they're gonna win. They're just gonna try their best.
We'll stay out of that argument, but there's no dispute about the fun these kids have and the motivation most have to stay in it.
I got to keep most of my grades, all my grades A's, and maybe slip under an A once or twice on the report card. And then I take all my number grades and average them together. And if they come out 93 or above, I get to race.
While getting good grades and building their driving skills, these junior drag racers also learn sportsmanship and teamwork. The only problem is, racing gets in your blood. So what comes after this?
I don't know. I guess I'll get a bigger car.
You want to drive an alcohol car? They go a little bit faster.
I can handle it.
And I'm trying to keep on racing and racing and racing and trying again.
Now, a Horsepower TV performance tip for drag racers of all ages.
Clearly, motorsports and especially drag racing is far more mental than it is physical. And that is a great equalizer because you don't have to be a great athlete to come out here and enjoy the sport and be very good at it.
Whether you pilot a Ford, Chevy, Mopar, or even a vintage wheelies, winning on the strip is just as much mental as it is mechanical, especially when it comes to cutting good lights consistently. Veteran NHRA racer and instructor Frank Colley gives his students this advice.
You can't think your way to a better reaction time. That's why they call it reaction time and not thinking time. The first thing you do is work at calming down, and then everything else will start to fit into place.
Okay, let's say you're cool, you're calm, and after a great burnout, you're ready to race. Well, even in bracket racing, if you wait for green to go, you'll come in a distant second place.
Good bracket racers will tell you that they can see 3 stages to each individual light. In other words, it starts to come on, it's on, and then it starts to go off. And somewhere in there is where you're going to lead.
Consistency is everything in bracket racing, and with patience and practice, you too can nail the right light every time you stage in pursuit of a weekend of winning.
Hey, welcome back. As you saw earlier, these junior dragsters are a lot of fun, and they're a great way to keep kids on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, in more ways than one. Now, the dragsters themselves range from homemade hot rods all the way up to factory-built kits. The kits can be bare-bones chassis all the way up to turnkey racers, and the hardware is very high-tech.
Yeah, they've got those skinny tires up front and drag slicks out back. Why, they've even got a butterfly wheel just like the big fuelers do. Of course, those young racers are well protected. Check out the 5-point harness, and they've got this great roll cage.
Good point. Now, they have competition classes these days for kids 8 years old on up to 16.
The engines range from a stock 5-horse all the way up to, well, like any good racer, they ain't telling. Man, bolting up this 5-horse Briggs is a whole lot easier than our 502 big block. Just 4 bolts attach it to the motor plate. Now, this one here runs on gasoline, but the heavy hitters, they're tipping the bottle. We're talking alcohol here.
Hey, Chuck, check this out, man. What do you think?
All right. Man, you look good behind bars. What do you think, you're 16 again?
Not exactly. I don't know how I got in this thing, but sure need a hand getting out.
I don't think so. I just remembered it's my turn to go check on the pinstriper.
Hey, wait up, wait up. Oh, man.
Man, this thing looks great, but Rick, what are you doing?
Well, Chuck, I'm signing it. All artists sign their masterpiece.
Well, that's true, but I got to tell you, these stripes really set this thing off.
Chuck, this car was begging for a pinstripe.
It really was. Now, I wish we could take it for a ride, but we've got more Horsepower TV coming up, so don't you go away.
Now, Horsepower's Hot Parts, brought to you by Summit Racing Equipment, your source for high-performance parts for 30 years.
Well, here's a part that may have appeal to you guys with lowriders, off-roaders, and even custom street rods. All those vehicles have oil pans that are likely to take a hit once in a while. Well, TD Performance has this new Slam Guard pan with a thick steel plate that protects it from perforations and other damages from bottoming out. It's got this cool chrome finish, and it'll only slam your budget for about a C-note and a half.
Great product. Now, if you're having a hard time getting a handle on your tools, here's something you'll be interested in. It's Plastidip rubber coating from Eastwood. Now, it'll protect your tools, cushion your grip, and even insulate you from electrical shock. Now, you just dip the handle of your tool in here like this, then pull it out and let it cure. Now, they come in various colors, and you only got to dip into your wallet for about $8 a can.
No doubt some of you guys out there running pro streeters have had a close encounter with a clip joint. Of course, we're talking rear clips here. Now you can back half your own car with this pre-welded clip from Competition Engineering.
That's right. It comes with either ladder bar or 4-link configurations, and it'll fit a wide variety of popular applications. Now, here's the best part, though. It sure beats trying to figure out this tangle of tubing. Now, the rear end housing isn't included with the kit, but for under $1,000, quicker time slips are.
Speaking of time, we're about out of it, but let's take a few seconds to look at next week's show. We'll tackle some more street rod mods as we bolt on a new rear end, suspension, and brakes to a classic 39 Buick. We'll take you from the pits to the starting line of a red-hot Pro Mod shootout, and a special visit to Las Vegas for a sneak peek at what's coming from the high-performance aftermarket. And remember, high-performance fun is what this show is all about. Hey man, what are you doing?
I'm going to dyno this thing.
Dyno this thing.
Here, help me get it strapped down.
Oh, you're crazy.
Let me get it up on the roller here.
Oh
We'll
man, you'll
strap it.
dyno anything. The junior drag little
This will be fun. Hey, you got to get back in there again.
Hey, you ain't getting me back in there again.
I'm
I stayed
sorry I
there
left
long
you
enough.
in there, man.
Yeah, you're. Oh, there it goes. Get it back on the drum.
Horsepower TV is an RTM production.